Back on Inside Tennessee with the mayor of Knox County, just released his budget. We're talking with Don and Eddie Smith. Go ahead, Don.
So before we go to the doom and gloom scenarios, if the sheriff were to win a salary suit, and maybe we come back and talk to that a little bit later in the show, but we're talking about a difference, as I understand it, of around $13.5 million in a $1 billion budget. And it seems to me, and I mean, when you start doing the percentages, those are big, big numbers, please.
Right.
But it seems to me that that's like if something's going to cost a family $1.10 and they've got $1, they might be able to find that 10 cents.
It's actually not a $1 billion budget in this respect. Take out $660 million for schools. Take out $75, $80 million for debt service. Take out already $100 million for the sheriff. All of a sudden you see our discretionary spending is down to, maybe 10% of that overall number.
Right, so at $100 million for the sheriff and he needs another $13 million, the math's pretty simple even for guys like you and me, that's 13%. And so it just seems to me that given the scope of the budget, given that the schools got every penny they asked for, given that most departments got every penny they asked for, while I don't disagree with you much, that there should be some middle ground here. And if we have a salary suit that actually is contested, it will be the first one that I recall, and that's 35 years.
Right.
But I don't think that's good for our community. But it seems to me that we ought to be able to get to a number that we can
Yeah,
reach.
I would love to do that. And one thing is we've already talked about 8% for this year, and since I've been in office, it's 25% increase. And when you look at that $13 million number, one of the issues too is that some of the officers are under defined benefit pension. That will cost, according to this, if everything goes perfectly for the next 20 years, that's going to cost $60 million, $3 million per year, as well as just other expenses that come along. So even though, you can say it's this much, well, we run really lean, and that makes a difference in.
Would you be willing to go more than 8%?
It would depend on what the sheriff is willing to do to get there, and things that we've already talked about that in the past he's turned down that would not actually cost that much money.
And Mayor, let's go to the kitchen table a second, because when you talk $1 billion and millions of dollars, people have a hard time. But right this minute, we've got families in our community that are struggling with the inflation. Grocery prices are more. So when you start talking about a property tax increase, that's money coming out of their pocket somewhere else, which is hurting that family that's trying to struggle to put food and everything else on their plate. So kind of help everybody understand just that's what the property tax, if you had to do it, or a will tax, ultimately affects is their bottom line.
Right, and it's everybody. The current median house price in Knox County is $420,000. Okay, so this proposal the property tax increase would be about $106 per year. Okay, but we assess commercial properties at a much higher rate. They're not going to absorb that. They're going to pass that on to the consumer. So we would see prices go up all over the place. In addition to that, the reason I believe that it's important to resist a property tax increase is because it opens the door for all sorts of stuff, okay? The teachers are only getting a 4% raise this year. If this were to go through, they would be way out of whack with where the deputies are. Every 1% for teacher salaries is $4 million. So if they were to ask for 30%, that's $120 million. So it's not only the current, what it would do currently to our budget, it's also what we would do going into the future and the expectations that everyone else would have.
One criticism I've heard about going into the future about budgets like yours that are lean is that we are putting a lot of money into debt and we're ratcheting up the credit card.
Debt service.
Debt service,
well,
but adding to it.
Right, if you adjust for population inflation, our debt is actually lower than it was 10 years ago. The one issue is the county's growing and inflation is high. So when you adjust for those two things, our budget's been essentially flat for 10 years. It's only 2.7% higher than it was 10 years ago. The debt's actually 11.6% lower in real dollars. Nominal dollars, it is higher, but it's lower. And then also a lot of those things are just stuff we can't avoid. I mean, we have to build new schools because of growth. We have to build roads. but we also collect more taxes to pay for those things.
And so we understand that under your administration, you do not want to ever raise taxes. You've said that. That's point blank. But do you think that may be something that a future administration may have to consider to pay for roads, schools, and public service like the deputies?
The one issue with property tax is, even though we do property tax assessments, we're prohibited by state law from actually making money off that. I mean, some people see theirs go up and some people see theirs go down, but the aggregate remains the same, the average remains the same. That's not adjusted for inflation. Sales tax and other things are. So, we do have, in that respect, however, as we see economic growth, and that's also the reason in the county why it's important that we get more commercial and retail, is we can build up that sales tax base, which does buffer us against inflation.
Well, and that's why I wanted to go, because there's two ways government raise money. You raise taxes, or you foster an environment for business and people to move into the community. We've seen great growth in just home prices, people moving here. Kind of look to the future. I know
they're not mutually exclusive, by the way.
Well, they're not.
Okay.
But I mean, we've seen record investment in some of our schools. We see new money coming from the state for some of the transportation projects. All of those things will set the stage for what will be a future growth that's more sustainable than a tax increase.
One of the things that I talk about a lot is salary and wage growth, and becoming even more competitive in the innovation economy and the global economy. When we do that, naturally some of those things will take care of themselves, as far as more sales tax and more whatever. So I absolutely agree with you. The key is growing our economy, as opposed to once you start raising taxes, it just never ends. And that actually ends up hurting you, because like if we raise property taxes and a company's looking, oh, we want to go there, wait a second, they're increasing property taxes. And one of the reasons that Tennessee is so attractive for business is because we have the lowest local and
When
state
was the
sales
last
tax.
county property tax?
It was over 20 years ago, which is a great thing.
We're going to take a quick break on Inside Tennessee. Don, I know you disagree with that, but we're back.
He's one of the few guests bigger than me. I'll give him a moment.
We'll be back right after this on Inside Tennessee.